What advice do you have for somebody that's sitting on the fence and they're thinking, well, crikey, I don't know if I can do this? What advice will you give them?
Yeah, so I've got a like one of my favorite quotes of all time is you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. When I was in mining reading
Hmm.
books, that appeared to me about three or four different times across a few different books, and then I heard it from a few friends and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, and ultimately, that really just struck a chord because at the time I was spending all of my time with miners. I was spending all my time with people who were unhappy and depressed and really just hated what they were doing. So reading books was a big inspiration for me to see what other people are doing, and then joining email list was another way, or listening to a podcast was another way for me to start surrounding myself with five people who had success or who had a
Yeah.
similar mindset to me. And so I would just say, like, if you're stuck or you're like still unsure, like join communities, join
Hmm.
groups of like-minded people who are supportive and positive
Hmm.
and are going to help you achieve the goals that you aspire to achieve.
Hmm.
Starting a business is not an easy thing. Being an
Mm.
entrepreneur is not easy. It's harder than having a job by all means, but it's much more rewarding
Mm.
over time. It's going to
Yeah.
be hard as heck to start. It's going to be hard in the first few years, I promise you. um,
That's true.
if any type of business is, it's really hard to start. Like it's very hard. But if you have the will and determination, if you're surrounded by people who have your back and who
Hmm.
have a positive message to share with you
Hmm.
and are there to support you, then that's going to make the hard period a little bit easier. It's going to help you stay on track with what you're wanting to accomplish. And ultimately, you're going to develop yourself and your business into something that's going to be successful, that can reward you and your family for a very long time.
If there's somebody that's sitting on the fence and they just don't know if they can take that step, if they should actually start, their journey because they're scared something is holding them back, what is your advice that you can give somebody like that?
Um, well, there's a few of them. There's a few things that really there's a few questions that I ask myself before making any moves
Yes.
that help me make the harder decisions.
Yes.
Okay, the first one is what's the worst that could happen. So if you're already in a life that you don't like, what's the
Mhm.
worst that could happen? You'll end up probably around the same place, right? Because you have a certain skill set right now that gives you the life that you have today.
Yeah.
Going out there, venturing and doing something new, crashing and failing, you still have that skill set. So whatever it is you have today, that's like that should be like your new minimum. Okay, so whatever it is you have today, it's your new minimum. And so I always ask myself, like, what's the worst that could happen? And it's never actually that bad. Like once you start running through it. Okay, let's say I'm going to invest in this new marketing thing, but it's so expensive, right? And it's tricky times right now. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Well, we'll run out of money. Okay, so what's the worst that could happen then? We won't be able to pay everybody that we need to pay and all this other stuff. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Then we shut down the business. And then what? And then I'm still a very talented, motivated dude that figures shit out. And I'll figure it out because I've done it before. Like, I've already been in nothing.
That's so cool.
And now I'm that guy with 20 years experience. So like what's the worst that could happen? Go back to the boiler room? Like that's not even an option anymore. Okay?
You win
Because
the
I
fight.
because I can be because I'm broke. So let's say I go back to broke, but now I'm broke with 20 years experience. That's not the same broke,
Mm.
right? It's not the same broke. You only get that experience from going out there and doing shit and failing.
Mhm.
Okay, that's how you get experience. I'm going to tell you another thing, and this is something that we preach. So we have a 16-week program. Basically, most people come in for us. It's for 16 weeks, and we take them through a mental fortitude every single week, and we make them see things in a different way. One of the things we talk about is the debilitating aspect of comfort zone. Okay, like you're comfortable right now,
Yep.
and the reason you're afraid to make moves, right? Because it means you get out of the comfort zone. Now, what is that comfort zone? Comfort zone is the limit of your abilities, your talents, your knowledge,
Yeah.
right? That's where it ends.
Mhm.
Going past it basically means that you're very likely to fail because it's outside of the things you know how to do, right? Physical pain, emotional pain, rejection all happen over there at at that part. But unfortunately, growth also happens over there. So you have to start pushing the limits of your comfort, and it needs to be at the edges. It needs to be at the place where you don't really know what's going to happen. Like, you don't really know. You have to take a chance on yourself and bet on yourself that you're going to win. And you start pushing those edges, and all of a sudden that circle of confidence becomes bigger. And we don't call it, and what we refer to now is the zone of competence. So we move from comfort to competence, and competence happens at the edges, right?
I love that.
And the more you push, the more competent you become, and all of a sudden things starts to happen for you.
Yes.
So you have to have faith. Some people have faith in something external. I have faith in something internal. Okay, but whatever it is for you, external or internal, just believe it's going to be okay. Okay. Then, like, you go out there and you believe it's going to be okay. Maybe it just will.
That is
and yeah. So
that is really, really good advice for people that's sitting on the fence and they still thinking about starting their business, but they're not exactly sure if this is something that they can do. What advice would you have for somebody that's still sitting on the fence and they're thinking, okay, how do I do this? What is that first thing that they should do if they're stuck?
Well, it's always mindset at first. So for me, I would just ask you, because like, I think a lot of people, not everybody watching this, but a lot of people watching or listening to this are probably thinking, why me? Why am I worthy of this? Like, why should I be the one to do this? And just my question for you would just be, why not you? And that question is going to come up a lot. This is questions I've had to remind myself this. Why not me? Why not me? Like, why not you? Really, why not? Let yourself answer that. Get down all your junky feelings in a journal, and then look at it and then write why you for real? Like, why should you do it? Because the truth is, like, there is someone out there waiting for you to start your business. They're in pain. Like, there's other people who do what you do, but nobody who's going to do it the way you do it. And they need you to do it so that you can change their life. And also so you can change your family's life. Don't make your why wrong. Don't make your why you want to start your business wrong. Like, many people might judge me for what I just shared about my biggest why is I want financial freedom for my family so I could travel. Some people might be like, oh, that's superficial. Guess what? Like, that's enough for me. That why is enough for me. And your why is enough. And so I would say just get really clear on, like, if you are going to start a business, it is a lot more work than working in corporate. It's a lot more stress than working in corporate. So pick something you really like. Like, don't get distracted by the shiny objects of opportunity, aka, these are distractions dressed as opportunity. And just decide, like, get clear on your why, get really connected to your vision for your life and your why for starting, because that's what's going to pull you through these moments is your vision. For what you really want, like what you really, really want in your heart. Like, because if you have that calling in your heart, then there is a reason it is there. Don't look the other way. Go for it. Understand that life is hard and stressful no matter what you pick. So you may as well pick something you're passionate about that has the potential to give you the life you really want, versus stay in the safe space that we've seen this year is never safe. No job is safe. Nothing is safe. So go for it.
I love it. Great advice.
Piece of advice I'd give you is don't worry about what your friends or family are going to think. You need to do what's best for you. And let's face it, your friends, your family aren't going to pay your bills. They're not going to buy you a Lamborghini. They're not going to buy you vacation homes all over the world. So you have to take action on what's best for you. I think the hardest part is we don't know what we want. And so I think the first question you need to ask yourself, for anybody who's listening, is what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to work for somebody else for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week until you retire or die at 65, a little bit of money you're too old to enjoy? Or do you want to live an extraordinary life? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to own real estate, mansions, have nice things? And if that's the case, you need to prioritize that. Once you've prioritized what you want in your life and what your dream life would consist of, the last question you need to ask is how big of a priority is it to you, how do you make it happen? Like, you know what you want. It's a high priority. You achieve it. How do you make it happen? And, for me, online business stripping or winning the lottery was the only way that I was going to be able to create true time freedom, financial freedom for myself. So once you've asked yourself those 3 questions, gives you a lot of perspective. And, for an example, I was faced with 2 options. It's either don't take action, don't start an online business and continue to work for somebody else until I retire or die, or take action and have a shot at living an extraordinary life. So give yourself that perspective, figure out what you want, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Okay? Because if I can do what I've done, if Joy can do what she's done, you don't have an excuse, to not achieve it. And the only thing that's holding you back currently are the bullshit excuses you keep telling yourself as to why you can't do something, right? Get out of your own way. Fuck the haters. Do you. Make it happen. No excuses.